France is withdrawing its ambassador to Niger and ending all defense cooperation after weeks of tension with the military junta. President Emmanuel Macron says that troops will withdraw by the end of the year. Niger's military, which seized power in a coup in July, has welcomed the move, calling it a step towards sovereignty. Al Jazeera's Fadoul Abderazak has more from Niamey.
The decision by French President Emmanuel Macron to pull out his troops and ambassador from Niger was met by huge relief and celebration among the supporters of Niger's military junta. This has been quite visible in the capital, Niamey, and across the country. People here see this decision as a positive step by the French government to the demands they had, even before the coup of July 26. I spoke to many citizens who said they now believe the government is on their side, which was the #1 demand by protesters at the time President Mohamed Bazoum was ousted. Now, people believe the junta has heard the demands of not only the masses, but also organizations and agencies in the country. The military leaders have welcomed Macron's decision as the fruit of Niger's people's struggle, calling on their citizens to continue in their quest until total independence and sovereignty are restored.
The French withdrawal from Niger is the most recent sign of its waning influence across West Africa. In August last year, the last of the French troops stationed in Mali left. They had been there for 9 years to assist in the fight against armed groups, while French military operations in Burkina Faso officially ended in February of this year. And earlier this month, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso formed a mutual defense pact, warning against foreign interference. All three nations are under military leadership after recent coups. Let's talk to Emmanuel Anning, Director of Research at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. You're joining us from Accra today, and it's great to talk to you again. The French troops were in Niger to help fight armed groups. What will happen to that fight once they're gone?
Well, they were in Niger to help supposedly fight armed groups who would potentially.
Well, why supposedly? Well, would they have a track record of fighting armed groups in the region? Why supposedly?
No, actually, they have been a disaster from when President Hollande in Mali said he had dispersed terrorists. The end result was that he spread them all over the sub-region. And also the French track record on the sub-region is one of disastrous intervention and not really helping the countries in which they have been stationed. So this is not going to affect the security situation in Niger at all. This is a great success for the military regime in Niamey.
Are you suggesting that the fight against armed groups in the region could actually benefit from the withdrawal of French soldiers?
The French presence has not improved the living standards nor the security of any of the countries in which they have performed in. I think we shouldn't deceive ourselves. These
they weren't there to improve living standards. They're there for counterinsurgency.
Of course, when there is security, it also improves living standards. But I think we shouldn't deceive ourselves. These military cooperation agreements are not for the benefit of the recipient states. They are for the benefit of the metropolitan or the metropoles. And that is why there's rejoicement in Niamey, because the military regime has been firm, the ambassador is leaving, and I think it has sent a clear signal to all observers of the situation in the Sahel that if governments are insistent on what their national interests are, they will get their way with it. I think this is a great day for the ordinary people.
The French soldiers, Kwesi, the French soldiers are leaving, but the American soldiers are staying, and they'll continue doing what they were doing previously. Your thoughts on that?
Well, once more, this demonstrates that even our partners will cut corners and cut deals when it suits their national interest. The Americans learned how to speak a language that General Chani and his team found acceptable. They were not belligerent. They appointed a new ambassador, albeit she has not presented her credentials yet. But the Americans understand the demands of the people on the ground across the sub-region, and they will tailor their politics and their policies to ensure that it is accommodating, it is respectful, it is consensual, dialogic, and that they will always find a way to do business with the people who are in power. The French have lost out, and it's because Mr. Macron has demonstrated a persistent arrogance in listening to the voices from the ground.
Okay, you know what? So we've been
talking
talking about the French. Let's forget about the French because they are effectively history in the region, right? As we detailed, they left Mali. They're no longer in Burkina Faso in any significant way, and they're going to leave Niger. What about the people of those countries? Whether it's Mali, Burkina Faso, or Niger, those are three countries that are deeply, heavily destabilized by the armed groups that are operating and that control parts of their sovereign territories. Are the people in those countries going to live better, and are they going to get more security with the governments that are now in place, led by coup leaders?
This is a process. This is a process that is going to take time. I am not worried.
But over time, is that a yes or a no over time?
Oh, there's going to be security over time. But let's also not forget that the history of this continent has also demonstrated that there are times when the metropoles have themselves been deliberate manipulators of insecurity. So what is happening in Burkina Faso, in Mali, we cannot refrain from thinking, who are those who are giving these groups this new edge? Okay, and history will bear us out. That probably it is not just an innocent expansion of, violent extremist power. But probably there are other, forces who seek to undermine these regimes, who are providing new logistics, who are providing new intelligence. So long term, there's going to be stability, there's going to be growth, there's going to be better resilience, and communities are going to grow. I have no doubt at all that what is happening in these countries are a reflection of the broader, more dangerous geopolitical game that is being played, because these governments, under all conditions, must be made to follow. But when people know what is happening, then they will rally around these governments. And Niger has shown us that a determined leadership can.
Emmanuel Anning, Director of Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, thank you for joining us today.